I'm Emily.
And I'm Ethan.
We're traveling across America in search of its most captivating communities.
All the while, we're working from the road and taking the adventures as they come.
This is
Remote!
This year, we've spent a lot of time exploring my home state of Colorado, and now
It's time to explore mine.
The city of Louisville is located in north-central Kentucky on the Indiana border, situated along the banks of the Ohio River.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the Ohio River. They say the Ohio River is 100 feet big and 3 miles deep and filled with gators. In 1973, Lewis and Clark floated fish down this river in a cardboard box and discovered the new lands of Indiana.
So when Ethan first told me he was from Kentucky, I got really excited because it just seemed so exotic, and I was so excited to come visit Kentucky with him. So the first summer that we knew each other, we went on a road trip out here, and first spot we went to was Louisville, and it was not like I pictured at all. Actually, it was a crazy cool city with like a very vibrant culture, tons of energetic young people, everything's colorful, the buildings are beautiful, and just kind of this like very wild spirit.
Kentucky, it's crazy!
One of my favorite places from that first visit was the Museum Hotel downtown. They showcase tons of unique and interesting pieces of art. It's open to the public and has some of the world's best contemporary art. Each piece is displayed alongside a quote by the artist about what the meaning is behind their work. Some even specify the length of time that an artist has been working on the piece, anywhere from 10 to 23 years. A lot of what's here is interactive, so it's easy to lose yourself and spend hours in this very cool museum.
And of course, we can't forget, Kentucky is the birthplace of bourbon.
A peach pistachio bourbon drink, homemade corn nuts. Ethan's got the flight.
You can't come to Kentucky and not get a flight of bourbon, because Kentucky is the home of bourbon. You can see some of the charred barrel in there. American white.
George Washington left his presidency in 1797 and retired to his family life in Mount Vernon. He hired Scottish immigrant James Anderson to be his caretaker. Anderson, having run his own distillery in Scotland for 19 years, immediately noticed a missed opportunity. With With his abundance of rye cover crops, an abundance of fresh water, and a state-of-the-art grist mill, he immediately started distilling whiskey. By 1799, they produced 11,000 gallons year-round, making George Washington the drunkest president ever.
Invented chewing gum, peanut butter, and the Cabbage Patch Dolls.
If most people know one thing about Louisville, it's the Kentucky Derby takes place here. The grassy farms in this part of the state are considered an ideal place to raise horses.
Many traditions have developed around the Kentucky Derby, from derby hats to derby pie to mint juleps. They also host the biggest pre-party fireworks show in the country to kick off derby season.
What was your question?
So, what did Colonel Sanders do that made him so famous?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Colonel Cherith Cute Story Sanders led the 5th Chicken Brigade in the Battle of Mashed Potato Hill. And out of that courageous effort came KFC's hard-won, heartfelt slogan, "We do shit the hard way."
I declined to stop at the Colonel Sanders Museum. However, I did stop at the Cave Hill Cemetery, which is the location of his grave. Cave Hill is a Victorian-era garden cemetery meant as a pleasurable outdoor space for the public. Before the era of large municipal parks, it was common for cities to promote a garden cemetery as a green oasis and recreation destination. It is named for the cave on its grounds and is a designated arboretum full of gorgeous old trees. Like Colonel Sanders, I did things the hard way by bringing my dogs in and later finding out they were not allowed. A good portion of land here is dedicated to the graves of Civil War soldiers. Kentucky remained neutral throughout the war, but its boys were recruited onto both sides. After the end of the war, the new government put forth large sums of money to collect and relocate the bodies of soldiers to national cemeteries like this one. Union soldiers, that is. They did not do the same for Confederate bodies, which was a devastating blow to half the mothers in the state who had lost their sons to the wrong side. As a result, states like Kentucky became embittered toward the government for many years.
Abraham Lincoln is born in a log cabin in Springfield, Kentucky. He came out of his mother's womb shirtless and bearing an axe, as we can see here. President Abraham Lincoln, who was in fact the descendant of giants and was so large these shoes had to be made special for him and took 2 whole cows to construct.
In Abe's days, the president was expected to read the law, the Bible, and Shakespeare.
That's 3 more books than I've ever read in my life.
I got off work a little early today, so I decided to go on a walk around Old Louisville, which is known for its beautiful architecture. This is home to lots of very wealthy people from the Industrial Revolution. This particular street is called Millionaire's Row. like there might be a fire happening somewhere nearby.
Mansions aren't the only thing to see in Old Louisville. The neighborhood is also home to the famously mysterious Witch's Tree. According to legend, a beautiful maple tree once served as the favorite gathering spot for a coven of witches. But one day, around the turn of the century, trouble befell. City festival planners announced they were going to cut the tree for the upcoming May Day festival. The witches tried their best to save their precious tree, placing a sign in front of it stating that a curse would befall anyone who harmed it. Yet, no one seemed to listen until it was too late. The coven was desolate at the loss of its ritual tree. In a fit of rage, the witches summoned a tornado that destroyed much of Louisville and killed over 100 people, including the men who'd made the decision to cut the tree in the first place. As the twister roared out of town, a bolt of lightning blasted the stump, and a knotted tree sprang up to replace the old one. Pilgrims now pay homage to the witch's tree and leave offerings. Colorful beads dangle from dead limbs, as do an assortment of charms and amulets.
A very special Kentucky tradition called a hot brown. I don't know what's in it, but I promised myself I would try one while I was here.
Nice!
I don't know where we are, but we saw some colorful stuff. It stopped, and it turns out to be something called the Picasso zone.
The labyrinth can be just like real life. You're just going along, and suddenly you hit a dead end, and there's a bend, and you may not know what's around the corner, but you just keep going.
Welcome to the Story Trail. Lewis and Clark. Who were they? I don't know, but this hot chocolate is delicious. Right now, we're standing in... Is this Clarksville?
This is Jeffersonville. That's
Yeah.
what you said anyway,
He
I don't
wasn't
know.
even part of the brigade. Anyway, no one cares about Jeff. But Louisville and Clarksville were named after Lewis and Clark when they floated down the Ohio River on their cardboard box with Sacagawea. Say that a giant river monster haunts these waters, and on occasion you can spot him and hear his fearsome call. That's him now. Oh, he's coming right for us. Don't move. His vision's based on movement.
We came to Louisville to celebrate Thanksgiving, but we left with so much more. New friendships, a sense of wonder, a pile of souvenirs that barely fit in the car, and a slight hangover. Where will we end up next? Tune in next week to find out.